future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon, broadcasting out of the Sunset Gower Studios, home of Scandal and Murder, She Wrote. But no murder here on the show, a show about hope and happiness. And then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1, and everywhere on iHeartRadio on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News Radio channel KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, because I'm interested in you being happy 88% of the time. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on what's right with you, what's right with the world, and your own reality show. So if you are tuning in for the first time and you have not heard any one of my last week of the month specials, today is Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa. So if you are listening with kids, you might want to listen to this later in the podcast so that you understand why I'm determined to make not sex, but pleasure a G-rated topic. But before we get into that with my special guest today, I wanted to give a peace out shout out to all of my fellow travelers this last week. First to Van Morrison. I got to flash peace with him on my 9th year anniversary at the Agape International Spiritual Center, where I get my positive roots water, founded by my big brother, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. And just really, really grateful for 9 incredible years where he saw into me and saw what I couldn't, and how wonderful life has been since then. Also, a peace in, peace out shout out to my newest mentees, Sophia Dale and Emily Kim, from my last career day presentation, my last one, my 15th one, because my younger daughter is graduating this year and going to college. But I'm so grateful that since preschool, I've been able to go in to the school, be invited, and warp young minds and look at everyone in the eye and say, you can do whatever you want to do, whatever your heart and soul and mind desires, because you are capable. And I had that message from my 10th grade math teacher, JJ Bristow, and never forgot that. And so I spend the last 15 years trying to pass that forward. And they were awesome. If you missed the little clip, they said I was the most positive adult that they have heard in the last 5 years, which was really nice to hear. Not saying much about the other adults, but we're not going there. Also, a peace out to Christina at Nordstrom's Max in San Diego for getting me ready for a wonderful shoot. Peace in, peace out to Ken Rashawn. He captures my image in a way that nobody else does. So thank you so much for all of your help in my book cover. Yes, he's with Big Events USA, so check him out on that. And big shout out to David Hancock, Jim, my managing editor, and Bonnie, my author relations manager at Morgan James Publishing in New York. They are doing an amazing job helping me bring my baby called 8 Ways to Happiness from wherever you are to Barnes & Noble bookshelf August 7th, 2018. And that's my first official announcement for my baby on the air. And I'm so grateful for their working with me. And you're going to hear more about it. Hopefully, I'll get to come to you and meet you wherever you are when we do the book tour. And looking forward to that. And so now for today's show, Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa. If you have missed any of my past series show, I kind of go from one extreme of, it was born because I'd heard the statistic that up to 85% women actually fake orgasms. And so I wanted to be able to talk about the topic safely, respectfully, and yet openly, so we can find out why that is and what is not working, so we could change it to work for us as women and men to bring more pleasure into our lives. And so condom research to it's better with latex, to tantric sex, to education on overcoming infidelity, all the way to the other extreme of reducing female genital mutilation around the world, as well as how to have better relationships as an introvert. So all those topics are on my YouTube. Go there, free subscribe, look at the playlist, and enjoy those. And I wanted to deal directly because with all the media coverage of the Weinstein and many women. I actually had a woman message me about 6 weeks ago who said, please, I'm not doing well. I'm getting triggered by all of this stuff, and I would love to have someone on who can help me heal from the trauma that I went through. And so I couldn't think of a better person to bring on the air than someone that I've gotten to actually do some heart, I call her my heart coach, even though she's not a coach, but I was able to expand my own heart in doing some work with her. She is Wendy Darling with over 35 years experience as a relationship and transformational results expert. She's a speaker, seminar facilitator, management and organization development consultant, master healer, and coach. She's created a unique and innovative system called the Miraculous Living Method that allows you to get the results you want with greater ease and speed. And she was very quick with me. She's helped me balance out my head and heart, so I know she can help you too. She's the #1 Amazon bestselling author of The Miracle That Is Your Life, has hosted 2 of her own radio shows, and has been featured in Forbes and numerous other publications. So without further ado, please welcome to the studio, Wendy Darling. With a name like that, you just cannot help but be happy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. You heard my little preamble on what we're going to talk about today. And I know you do way more than that, but you are very well equipped. So I actually have a couple of things. First, just to put the moose on the table and to give it some, the whole setting. Okay. Yeah. So it's not sexual trauma. Okay. And sexual abuse is certainly nothing new. If we go back and, the women that stood up, from Anita from a while back to the women that stood up with Bill Cosby, this latest one really probably was the strongest in terms of, the whole many women coming forward in October 2017. Just to give you a little background, I'm sure you all know this, but I found it really interesting to kind of take that big picture look. The New York Times, the New Yorker reported that dozens of women accused Weinstein of sexual abuse over a period of at least 30 years. More than 80 women in the film industry have subsequently accused him of such acts. He has denied non-consensual sex, denied any non-consensual sex. He was dismissed and expelled from the Academy of Motion Pictures, and investigations into complaints from at least 6 women are ongoing in LA, New York City, and London. The scandal triggered many similar allegations against powerful men around the world, led to the ousting of many of them from their positions. This led to a great number of women to share their experiences of sexual assault, harassment, or rape on social media under the hashtag of metoo. The scandal's impact on powerful men in various industries came to be called the Weinstein effect. I'm sure that's not great for him, but I always look for the silver lining, and the silver lining, one of the many, is that many women now are not afraid to come forward and actually say something. I also have the other side, I've heard from many, many men, disappointingly, who have said, well, we've taken this too far. Now the pendulum is swinging the other way. And some men who are innocent are being accused, and that's not right, and blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to actually put the moose on the table today, have you comment not just on it, and then actually give you a case study of the woman who contacted me so that we could walk through that.
Okay.
All right. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. So just in general, I guess the first thing would be what you would say to women in general, or to what would the healing path be in your mind for individuals, collectively, societal, in this whole thing?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important to identify what abuse really is. Because for way too long, I think people on both sides of the fence have justified inappropriate behavior. And so to first really honor and acknowledge, and it's an individual conversation of what abuse may be. Mm-hmm. Because to me, yes, we're going to talk specifically about sexual abuse, but abuse is anything that invades a person, takes them down, insults them, humiliates them, makes them less than. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what we're talking about today in terms of sexual abuse is further on the continuum, an even greater violation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because now somebody is not only invading my life verbally, they're also invading and influencing me by trying to use either physical force, inappropriate behavior and action, and quite honestly, sexual abuse is also verbal. Mm-hmm. There have been times in my life where men have said things that are very inappropriate and offensive. I actually am part of the metoo movement in the sense that I was attacked when I was a freshman in high school. And back then, now this was in 1969, 1970, and not high school, college. And there wasn't an avenue for us to speak up.
Right.
I can remember, now this happened to be a former boyfriend who was very upset that I ended our relationship. I'm not going to get into the details, but we were together the night before one of my final exams. A group of us were going to somebody's house. He really encouraged me, just get out. I'll bring you back, and attacked me in the car before I was able to get out and get back to my dorm. And so the point, though, is there haven't been places for us to actually go to and say, oh my gosh, what has just happened? There's a lot of embarrassment. There's shame. All too often, women, or I know men, have been sexually abused as well. Yeah. But we're talking right now, the majority happens to be women. Yeah. There hasn't been permission. A lot of women feel like, oh my gosh, what did I do to bring this on?
Nothing.
And then you talk about people that are in the film industry with the Harvey Weinstein examples. Well, think about it. These are people that are attempting to build a career. And there's a lot at stake, and we don't know their personal stories. And it's not every day you have an opportunity to be casted for a film or a play or whatever. And so you're feeling more vulnerable, and you don't want somebody who has
a lot of power.
That's right.
A lot of influence.
And so what's beautiful about what's happening, because what I think you were mentioning and what people are talking about, well, why now?
Yeah.
And finally, when this really started to take form, people were finally saying, I didn't feel I could speak up before, but by gosh, I'm going to speak up now.
Yeah. And it is for the, I'm trying to say this without judgment. It's really interesting how, people who have not been discriminated against or not had trauma or not had are so quick to minimize and well, it's an overblown whatever it is. So I do want to put one more qualifier on this side, which is there is some responsibility here for women who use that to like if you're going to dress in a way that is asking for attention that is primal and sexual, and I'll be the first to admit I do wear some things that are somewhat, that cross, the line between feminine and provocative. And I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And I don't do it as much as I used to because I don't like the attention that it's all about that. But if you are doing that, then it's not that you deserve to have anything bad happen to you, but I think it is up to us to have some kind of responsibility. So I'll put that caveat on this side for anybody that's saying, well, I don't do anything and you shouldn't take it so personally. And I only mean to give you a compliment on your outfit because I think that's what you want. And you go all crazy and now I'm, harassing you sexually. So let's put the balance marker in there before we continue the rest of this conversation.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a fine line, but at the same time, a lot of times people have these situations when they've allowed themselves to be vulnerable. So I think what's really important here is to begin, and what's happening is not just women getting a voice, but also own who you really are. That and be grateful for who you are and not to allow anything whatsoever to diminish that.
Yeah.
And so I think with what you're saying is, yes, I do feel that society kind of got a little skewed in terms of the way we have, and I'm speaking in very general terms, the way we have celebrated dressing a certain way. And it has gotten, in my opinion, now I'm probably showing my age and being a little bit more conservative, but I think there are times, to me, those are more private times to really,
use the lingerie.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I don't want, when I first started out in my career, I was doing management and organizational development consulting. And so most of the people I worked with were men. And so I must have had pretty clean boundaries because it was very rare if anybody even said anything slightly inappropriate.
Yeah.
And, now this was a long time ago. I it's a fairly attractive woman. I dressed, but
Still
I dressed, thanks. But I dressed appropriately.
Right.
So I don't want to get too much in the physical aspect, but I think it was an important piece.
Yeah.
But you and I both know it's an inside job.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a partner at Coopers and Lybrand who said to me, well, I didn't mean to say the name of the company, but I was doing my internship there, and he said one day in a meeting, he said, "You're so communicative and strong. Sometimes I forget you're not a man." And that's one of those, it was meant as a compliment. And I remember that moment going, okay, thank you. And I took it as a compliment. So if you're a guy and you're listening, I really want to be careful. We're not male bashing today. We're not criticizing men. We are, though, asking in the same way that I'm, asking what's the best situation for all of us. The best I know for a man in this particular season of change would be to champion and understand and be, take the stance of it's time. We're not going to sit here and trash and stomp on, but it is time for change. And the change is the days, just like today, we don't pat people on the butt in the office like we used to, right? When I started at work, that was normal, right? Yeah.
Not for me.
Oh, well, it was for me. I mean, I just didn't think to say anything because I'd be too sensitive, or I wasn't a team player or something like that. But you
see that's the point.
Yeah.
That I think what's happening is we're redefining what's appropriate, because everything we do has to do with relationships.
Yeah.
And what we're really talking about is valuing another human being for who they are.
Yeah.
And what has happened is we have seen where the line has been significantly crossed in a way that has diminished another human being.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, in too many cases, violated that person.
Right. So we are definitely balancing, and I'm all about balancing. So that's great. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I have in studio today, it is Wendy Darling. She is a transformational expert, and I've asked her on my Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa every last week of the month, not every, but we try, a special series to work both with more pleasure, determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic, as well as healing. So today's pleasure is coming from healing from sexual trauma, and we are talking about the Weinstein scandal, as well as I'm going to go right into a message that I got from a woman who is actually responsible for having me do this topic today. So here's what happened to her. And I'm going to pretend that I'm her, and you're going to get to work with me. And I know she's tuned in right now. So she's an actress, and I'm going to speak about in the third person. And she went through a casting couch experience. She was told that the role was between her and another woman. So he, the producer, wanted to have dinner with her to see if she was really right for the part. Nerves and 2 glasses of wine later, she found herself being kissed, touched, and forced into sexual relations. She was turned on, and she was ashamed of that. She wanted to say stop, and didn't, and is ashamed about that. She did get the part, and she's ashamed about that. She knows he does this to other women, but feels powerless to say anything. No, it was not Weinstein, but it was similar enough that it could have been someone like him. She's a successful actress now and wants to come forward, but doesn't want to have eyeballs rolled at her. Oh, not another one. She knows that her relationships, her intimate relationships, are affected by this past. She feels like she can't fully trust or let go to love anyone close, especially in the industry. How can she begin her healing journey?
Yeah, well, it's not a 1, 2, 3 step, as you know. But first of all, I think there has to be part of it is finding peace with your past. You know, we all have something in our life, more than something, that if we could have a do-over, we would possibly and probably do it differently. So, okay, in hindsight, you recognize that dinner was possibly appropriate, maybe not, to in the future to have a very typical business-related meeting. And quite honestly, no alcohol involved because our guard is down. Now, for this to have happened, it happened. And so there is the practice also of forgiveness. Because there are things in my past that I have done that I wish I hadn't. There's very little that I actually regret, but I do have a couple of very significant things. And I had to recognize that, okay, I wish I would have done that different, but I sure as heck will do it different today. And I think to know that, you can get more peace and acceptance and release the hold that this has had on your past. Now, I happen to have a transformational system that goes right to the source of that event and heals and transforms it. So you really do get freed from that in a very easy and fast way, which I'm grateful for. I happen to work with a fair number of people who have been abused, whether it be physical, emotional, or sexual, because that's in my past as well.
Right.
And the good news is,
Yeah.
it's just amazing how this frees people up.
Yeah.
Because you never want to have something that happened a long time ago impact you receiving love from another person. That is the most special part of living, is really sharing your life with somebody intimately.
Yeah, yeah.
And intimacy is, the definition is, it's very common, intimacy. Being open and aware that, I don't walk on water. This happened. And to even be able to say, sometimes it takes me a little while to really open my heart, and I want to. And for a man or a woman, depending on which side of the conversation this is, to really cherish that and hold it in such high regard, so that too is very healing, to have somebody see you and know this very sacred part of who you are.
So let me see if I have heard this for her and received it in the intention that you're giving. So first of all, it's a good thing that it did happen and that this movement is happening, because it's allowing her to deal with and address something that has been kind of festering inside.
That's right.
Which for many of us is a common thing. And I love the name of the book that you brought up to me. It's a different way of saying, what you don't deal with will come back and deal with you. The book was Feelings.
Oh, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Yeah. So that was very powerful when you brought that up to me, that the good news is for you that you are realizing, and just by reaching out to me and telling me your story and thinking about doing the Me Too, or thinking about you are talking about it now, that you are doing a beautiful thing for yourself. You are not leaving those feelings buried so that they become infected. So that I hear the first step, which is great. And then it's encouragement, I think, for anyone who's gone through any kind of trauma, is what I'm hearing you say too.
Absolutely.
Because life is way too short to let that stuff sit in there and not get dealt with. My model is the garbage disposal pressure panel that keeps, pressing down, and the garbage turns into liquid, and then liquid into gas, and pretty soon you're leaking gas and you can't smell it, but everybody around you know there's something up, and then it keeps you from that beautiful, intimate, into me, you see, I love that, so that, I say, relationships, intimate romantic relationships are like nothing you will ever get anywhere else. You can't get it from your parents, you can't get it from your friends, you can't get it from your kids. There is something special. Although in my history, it's been more like, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. But we're not going there. We're going to deal with my friend here. And so working with someone, and you do that work absolutely. And I can give you a little endorsement. You looked into, saw the place, worked it, we dug it out, and it was keeping me from balancing out the masculine, powerful side of me, and turning the F you into F me. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No. We're changing the... It's the feminine.
Yes. Sorry. The feminine me. Yes. We're still working on it, as you can tell. But okay. So and then not beating yourself up. Yes? Forgiving yourself. So forgiving that person. Does she need to confront that person?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No. I think what's important is to deal with the ghosts that live within.
Okay.
And I just don't think it's necessary. Every now and then, if it really feels like it's important, but I wouldn't encourage that. I would keep it clean. But
This is for you.
Yeah.
This is for you. And we're going to come back, though, and talk about the other women, but I am getting the signal that it's time to break for our sponsors. I'm so grateful for all the organizations and individuals who make this show possible with sponsorship. I have very affordable rates, so if you want to support a show about hope and happiness, please contact me. We'll be back in 2 and 2 because it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. Hi, Dr. Marissa here, and this is your personal invitation to join me at the Best You Expo at the Long Beach Convention Center, March 24th and 25th for 2 days, 150 talks, 300 exhibitors, 20 workshops, and yes, I am one of the talks and workshops. So if you want invaluable inspiration to be the best you, go to thebestyouexpo.com for your tickets today. 4, 3, 2, 1, and another child dies. Yes, every 4 seconds, someone dies from drinking contaminated water, and that's the bad news. The good news is that the Purity filtration system provides clean, fresh, and safe drinking water, and for every 2 water bottles sold, 1 is shipped to a child in need. Contact Heshy Siegel at kidsbetterworld.com for this win-win-win, life-giving answer to contaminated water today. And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at Naturally High Noon. Every Tuesday at Naturally High Noon out of the Sunset Hour Studios in Hollywood, California with UBN Radio TV, Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1. And on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And it is Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa Week. And I have here in studio my friend and transformational results expert, Wendy Darling. And we've been talking about healing from sexual trauma, and in particular, a case that is responsible for me tackling this topic on the show. And the last question was, should we sort of out the person who's doing this for the sake of the people, the women who still are? So you say most of the time it's an inside job, but are there cases when we should take the responsibility to pinpoint?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think what you just said is most important. It depends on the circumstances. And if you personally feel that not only is this happening to you, but others, maybe that becomes more important because it's really just not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the good news is now, because of what's happened, you'd have to be pretty not smart to even think about doing anything like this. So there's another great positive thing that came out of this whole effect.
I also think what's interesting is, can you imagine if you have been inappropriate?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, some people do not even realize that they're being inappropriate, which is hard for my own mind to understand. But let's say and all these people are coming out and saying, this happened to me and it's not okay.
Yeah.
And I am no longer willing to stay silent.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that person is like, oh my gosh, am I going to be next?
Yeah.
And I think what's really important is not only is it giving a voice for those who have been abused, but my hope is that it's going to raise awareness of what's appropriate, because I am also very biased. And I know I'm biased because I want to see all human beings, but I love that women are feeling more empowered, that women are owning their voice, they're owning more who they are, because we have so much to offer.
Right.
And let's face it, whether you're a man or a woman, our world is needing what you and only you can provide. And if something from your past is holding you back, I encourage you not only do I encourage you, I feel you have the responsibility
To yourself. Yeah.
as well as the gift of your life and
Yeah.
what and how you can contribute to others to really deal
Live.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and live.
Live to the fullest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And another, because I do sexual diversity, valuing diversity and sexual harassment training way back. I was lucky to be on that team that put it through LA County. The one distinction I again want to make is this is not about the rules. This is not about political correctness. This is not about, you can make it about that. You can say, oh, well, can't do that anymore and can't do this anymore. And oh my God, I can't say it. That's not what this is about. As you pointed out earlier, this is about respect. This is about the changing, the more understandable and more courage that people to have to say, this is what's respectful for me. And this is how I would like to be treated. And you may not feel the same way. To you, it's not a big deal to have someone compliment you and ogle you at the same time. It might be okay for you. You might take it as a compliment, and I'm not taking that away from you. I'm just saying, for me, if you want to connect with me, this is how I define respect. So it takes the whole conversation to a very different, it's not about the rules and am I being wrong or am I being politically incorrect? It's not, you've missed the boat if you're asking that. This is about what you said before. This is about respect. This is about how we have broadened our understanding of what's respectful and what is not. So, yeah, absolutely. So, anything, I can't believe it's already almost time. I told you. Actually, I can't believe it. I have not done one show where I've gone, oh man, I wish this were. So this is no different. Maybe what are some easy tips that you can give people right now who are not feeling in the most happy place in their relationships? What would you say? I know I'm always asking for the top 3 things or whatever. I know it's not that easy, but in your experience, how are people shorting themselves?
Well, a couple of really easy things that they can do is, first of all, I encourage you to get a list of values and really get clear what your values are, what matters to you most, and really get the top 5 or 10 that make a difference, and how is that being reflected in your life? Mm-hmm. Secondly, I encourage you to wave your magic wand, and how would you really like your life to look like? Mm-hmm. And what matters to you most? How are you being that person, and how are you possibly holding yourself back or diminishing yourself? Mm-hmm. And if you really have had some sort of trauma that you have personally not been able to deal with, then quite honestly, I encourage you to reach out to somebody like me, to somebody like you, and let's get this taken care of.
Yeah, and it doesn't take 10 years of therapy.
No, that's the gift of what I do. Yeah. Is, as you know, it's pretty fast. Yeah. I have seen 180 degrees of freedom occurring in people that have been severely abused. Yeah. And they're free from it in a matter of hours.
That's beautiful. Pain is mandatory. Suffering is optional. So please, how do we find you?
Oh, it's really easy. My website's wendydarling.com. Mm-hmm. And there's a way to schedule a strategy session with me or a connection call. You can also email me, wendy@wendydarling.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, and then the book you can also get, which is a great book called
The Miracle That Is Your Life.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very positive, life affirming. Now you know why she's on my show. Absolutely. Okay. My last question that I always ask my guests is, what are you grateful for? Or who are you grateful to?
Oh, that would be a whole show in itself. So in this moment, I am forever grateful for you and our friendship, that you trusted me at one point in time with your heart. I'm so grateful that it didn't rain like crazy the whole way driving up from Carlsbad, California to the studio. I'm grateful for the gift of living in Southern California, for my home, my doggie, who you
Max. I meant to have a picture. I forgot to send it in.
And
he's my boyfriend. My furry boyfriend.
yeah, and my friends, my son, my family, oh my gosh, the people that I get to empower and work with, for the stages I get to speak on.
Mm-hmm. You were just on a show that's coming out in the fall.
Oh yeah, the Dr. Nandi show. I was a
Flew
guest.
to Detroit.
Yes. In the snow.
It took 3.5 days to get back.
No, only 2.5.
Only 2.5.
Only 2.5.
That's what you get for going to Detroit.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, and also now I certify coaches and practitioners in my methodology.
So if you're a coach.
So it's a pay it forward, where the gifts that I've been given now are able to be given to others so their clients get easier and faster results.
And I forgot to tell you the one really fascinating thing about Wendy. I mean, there's many fascinating things, but a lot of the work that she does came later as a result of a fall backwards off of a how many story building?
No, I passed out and fell over a ledge and fell 25 feet.
25 feet. And as you can see, she's totally fine. Not as she only totally fine. It kind of ignited some parts of your brain because she's very balanced. She's got the analytical side, and then she has the intuitive and empathetic side. So it's very balanced. Another reason why I was drawn to her. But what was interesting in the first time, and I knew that I had to work with her, is she asked me to to pick a number between 1 and 10. So I'd like to finish with that, if you wouldn't mind. I didn't tell you. I had this idea and I forgot to tell you. But if you're ready to do some healing work and you're wondering what area that you should come into it, pick a number between 1 and 10 and just take a breath right now. Close your eyes, take a breath, and pick a number. And don't say what it is. And then Wendy's going to go through the list. And whatever number you picked is the area that you might want to come in to look at. Okay.
Okay,
I'm making you do this on the spot.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping I can remember them.
Yes.
Well, my intention was I'll just say it however my brain
which
says
is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So the first one has to do with health. Number 2 would be your intimate relationship. Number 3 is career.
That was mine this time. I changed the number. That's the number that came. Interesting.
Number 4 is family. Number 5 is friends. Number 6 is fun. Number 7 is community involvement. Number 8, has to do with wealth and money. Number 9 has to do with your spirituality. And number 10...
I'm trying to remember which one. Education? Was
No.
that one of them?
No.
No.
Nope. If you got number 10,
you're going to have to contact her.
Email me, Wendy@wendydarling.com.
There you go.
I'm trying to remember
That's okay.
what it is.
I put you totally on the spot.
Did I
but-
say fun?
So, yeah, you did say fun. Yeah, you did say fun.
Oh, I know what it is.
Okay.
Home. Yeah.
So I totally got that because my next evolution of growing and expanding is in my career. So, of course, I picked 3. Beautiful. Thank you, Wendy, for coming on and sharing yourself and your gift with us. And we'll give you a little out to, there we go. WendyDarling.com. Book your discovery, and especially if you are going through, I know my friend who sent in that question will definitely be doing that. And it's, you're too beautiful and you're too uniquely gifted to be suffering anymore from sexual trauma. So there's your commercial for sexual healing with Dr. Marissa. And it is that time at the end of the show for my balance bar. when I invite you to step up. And we're going to start with the highly anticipated Asian Oprah giveaways, which I have 2 today. And the first one is you're not going to believe, if you know that I'm going to be on the red carpet with Ashton Kutcher this weekend with City Gala, City Summit. You know my guest from last week. We talked, Ryan Long called in from Missouri, also known as Missouri, and told you about why he's doing the event. And he's my modern day Robin Hood that collects the money energy from from business conferences where we learn from the greats. Ty Lopez will be there, Jay Abraham, the $9 billion man, Brian Smith from UGG Boots, and Jeff Hoffman from Priceline.com. I mean, the whole list, 2 days of amazing speakers, not just Ashton Kutcher. Now we have just confirmed Matthew McConaughey. You cannot not go. This is this weekend at the Universal Studios, and he's giving me just a few 2-for-1 tickets. So $699. You divided them in half if you bring someone. If you want to help Project Now or Lisa LeWalt's Fire Life Foundation or Dale's Project Now, please let me know and they'll get a scholarship spot and you will absolutely feel even better about going than you already do. So the first 4 to go and on my site on forbalance.org and book a discovery call where then I will tell you how to get the tickets, will be the first 4 to do so. Or if you just want to make it simple, just put it in the contact and put in Ashton or Matthew or anybody like that. Okay. So that's this weekend. Treat yourself. It's highly, you'll learn a lot and you'll get a chance to hobnob with some pretty cool people who are, and they're my favorite kind of stars. They're not stars insofar that as their film stuff, they're stars because they take their limelight and shed it in areas of darkness. Ashton's work in stopping sex trafficking, Matthew McConaughey in various areas is just well known, and so we're so delighted to have them come on. Maybe I can talk them into coming into the studio too. But last year Ryan brought Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones. So support him and his work. He's my modern day Robin Hood. So citygala.org if you just want to go and register now, or if it's too late, just go and register if the 2-for-1s have already been given away, because I've only have a limited number. But please do contact me about that. The second Asian Oprah giveaway are free tickets. I have 50 left. I've already given 50 away to the bestuexpo.com. If you go directly to me, you'll get a link for a free ticket. If you haven't already been to my Dr. Marissa Facebook, you actually don't have to be a listener. You can just use the link. But I have 50 tickets left. I'll be speaking and teaching there March 24th and 25th at the Long Beach Convention Center. So those are my 2 giveaways. And then if you have not already signed up, March 1st starts round 81 of the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. The easiest way to feel good is to stop complaining, so that's why we do it. 81 months consecutive. I started in 2011, July 1st. Can't believe it, but please do join. Would love to have you. Only 3 women have been able to go 21 consecutive days. We're still waiting for the guy to check in and say, I've done it. I get the app. I roped in some teenagers to create it. So it's on both platforms, so you can keep track of how many times you're complaining and do better every day. Sedona Retreat's coming up, 19th and 20th of May. Treat yourself. It's an amazing place. I teach you still and moving meditation, and we get rid of any blocks that are getting in your way. And because the vortexes are so strong, the healing happens very quickly. Next week, you are in for a treat. I have coming live in studio Emmanuel Kelly, and if you don't know that name, you will have to go on YouTube. He's got over 100 million views. He was an X Factor contestant who completely, the judges broke down crying. Everybody in the audience was crying. I'm not going to give it away. Your homework is to watch that trailer before he comes on. He's a friend now. I'm so grateful. I manifested him at a red carpet event because I went to another event at Agape and Greg Braden was the speaker, and he used his little clip to get us into our hearts. And I said, I'd love to have him on the show. And no joking, the following week, I was at the Salvation Army red carpet. He was there. We met. I said, would you like to come on my show? And he's like, I've been wanting to come on your show. So he's coming. He'll be here live in studio. His story is amazing. Please do tune in next week for another scintillating episode of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
To take away the part of me that wants to stay. It's all I want to hear my life and sing along. For without it, there's no laughter, no tears, lonely days after, no